Hey everybody, it's Rob Halford's birthday today. So first of all, I just want to say happy birthday, Rob. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for a little while now, just thinking about my time playing with Rob and the guys in the Halford band way back in 1999. Rob is awesome, and he was so cool to work with during my time in Halford. And so for the next couple of days, today and tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how I got the gig with Halford, the audition, and I'm going to tell some funny stories that happened early in my time with the Halford band. So I have to tell the whole story of how I was recommended for the Halford gig and the steps that happened along the way. It is way too long to tell, but I do want to mention that it was two guys that were, my connection to the Halford camp. One was Chris Liebengut, who was at the time a consultant to Rob and his manager. And then also Roy Z, who was, me and Roy became friends when I played in the LA area with Riot way back in the late 80s and early 90s. So those two guys were really instrumental in the whole thing. So I'm going to fast forward to 1999 when I got the call. Rob and the guys had already demoed over 20 songs, and there were two drummers that recorded the demo stuff. It was Sid Riggs and Pete Parada, and both of the guys did an amazing job on these 20-something songs. Great playing, great drumming all the way around. But neither of those two guys were double bass drummers, and they had some other commitments going on. And so this was Rob's return to metal. And they wanted, or maybe they needed, a double bass drummer, somebody who could do double kick stuff, because there was going to be a lot of Judas Priest songs in the set list, and it's important that, playing a lot of those classic Judas Priest songs. And by the way, when I came in, it wasn't like a cattle call audition where a bunch of guys, drummers, with their double kick pedals in their hands, standing out in the hallway. But there were, in the few weeks before I was called in, there were some serious metal drummers that Rob and the guys worked with before me, but for whatever reason, playing or personality, I don't know, but it didn't work out. So anyway, they sent me a couple of cassettes of the 20 plus songs. I still have them today. And I learned them as well as I could in the couple of days. I had about 4 or 5 days to learn the songs, and then they flew me to Burbank Airport, and then when I got there, it was me, Ray, Pat, Metal Mike, and Roy Z, who was producing the record, working on the songs for a couple of days. And at some point during those days, the second day, I think, Halford walks into the room, and I'm thinking, oh, there's Rob, there's Rob Halford. And so we finished playing the songs, and Rob, everybody greeted Rob, and Rob just said, yeah, keep playing. So we played through several more songs, and while we played, Rob just basically walked around the room. It's a pretty big room there at Bill's place, and he walked around me and my drum kit, and he saw I was reading my charts, and he was kind of had a little swagger going, and he did a couple of heavy metal punches while he was, checking it out. And I don't know, I thought he was digging it, So, and then after we played several songs, he said, "Okay, boys, let's go to dinner." And so we went to Granada, a Mexican restaurant there in Burbank. And we had a table in the back, a long table. And when I came in, I came all the way around the table, kind of sat towards the middle, and Rob sat directly across from me. There was 7 or 8 of us, something like that. And Rob started asking me questions. Where was I from and stuff like that. And I said San Antonio, Texas. And of course, that opened up the whole thing to us talk about K-Mac and Kiss Radio, Joe Anthony, Lou Roney, and all the guys that that was so big in breaking Judas Priest into the U.S. market in the early days. San Antonio was big for that. Those first couple albums, Rock-A-Rolla and Sad Wings of Destiny, got major airplay before a lot of cities were playing them. So it was great conversation, and it was a great dinner, and so it was all over, and then went back to the hotel, and the next day we were in pre-production for the new Halford record, Resurrection. But I'm going to tell a funny story that happened during pre-production for the record there at Bill's place in North Hollywood. For the rehearsals, Rob would drive up from San Diego, and Rob would come. Sometimes he would come up by himself, and sometimes he had his partner Thomas with him. And so now we were all staying at the Glendale Homestead Suites there, not too far from the studio. And there was a rent-a-car for me, Metal Mike, and Ray. Pat lived in Burbank, which was right there. But we had a rent-a-car because we had come from all parts of the country. So between the rent-a-car and Rob's Cadillac, we would drive back and forth for rehearsals. And I guess we were only rehearsing for a few days. And we're leaving Bill's place, and we're heading back to the hotel. And I'm in Rob's car, and Rob's driving, and Thomas is in the passenger seat, and I'm in the back seat, and we're just talking about whatever, and Rob's starting to ask me, what do you think of Bill's place? Do you like it there? As a rehearsal, and I said, yeah, it's comfortable. I said, the room is big. It sounds good. And I said, yeah. I said, there's that basketball goal in the outside in the parking lot, the pole and the rim, the hoop, and I said, but there's no basketball. And right when I said that, and we're driving, Rob whips the car around, and he takes a U-turn, and we're going the other way. And I was like, ooh, well, I don't know what's up. But so we go a few blocks, and Rob then pulls into a Kmart there. And so I'm like, oh, we're going to Kmart? And he's like, well, we need a basketball, don't we? And I said, yeah, I guess so. So Rob then, we get out, and Rob puts his hat on. He wore his hat to cover up his, his tattoos on his side of his head, just so he wasn't noticeable, I guess. And so Rob heads straight to the sporting goods section, and I'm right there behind him. And so we go in, and we're checking out the basketballs, and Rob's, what do you think of this one? What do you think of that one? And so I pick out the basketball, and then so we go to the counter, Rob pays for it, and then so now we had a basketball. So when we got to Bill's place next day, and for the whole rehearsals, me and Ray and Pat and Mike and Z would just, play whatever, just, a bunch of not anything serious, but just stupid musicians, playing shooting hoop and laughing about it and having a good time. And Rob would never shoot or play, but he would sit and watch. And there were a couple of wrought iron tables and chairs over to the side underneath the trees. And Rob would sit there and I think he really loved it. I think it was, something cool that, just to see that we were all having a good time rehearsing and then also having a good time outside and doing things. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I got a couple of funny stories about when we were on the road together. And so I'll see y'all guys tomorrow. Happy birthday, Rob.